Okay, Ted, who do you have as your winner of the week?
I thought about going with Florida State, who just unveiled the plans for their new $100 million football facility. And I say they're the winner because get that thing built, get it started now, because I have a feeling that the arms race for college football facilities is about to end. Okay, with all the money that they're spending on these things and the coaches' contracts and the national or the name, image, and likeness stuff that's coming up, I think that the pressure is going to be difficult to continue to spend this amount of money on football facilities. So kudos to them for getting it in.
I couldn't believe they didn't already have a
I know.
football only facility. That was unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
It's
What
gonna
I
be like
see, 150,000.
150,000
Yeah.
square feet.
It's huge.
They've
It
got some
looked pretty
space.
cool. The mock-ups looked nice. But I settled on Brady Manek, a Scully offer to North Carolina. How about that? Pretty
Whoa.
impressive.
That that's significant. And also
Uh-huh.
this is sometimes my brain works in really weird ways. Is it weird that I immediately thought that I just can't imagine him in powder blue. I don't know if it would look good with the skin tone. I know it
Well,
just may
I
wash him out a little
agree.
bit.
Yeah, I agree. I don't I I don't know that that's where he's going to go. And this is me just a pure guess, but I feel like Manic wants a place where maybe there's a little less pressure, where maybe there's a little less spotlight, where maybe he can shine a little bit. If he goes to North Carolina, and he could play great there, but he could also end up being down the bench and not getting out on the floor. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and they are typically going after a kind of a higher caliber of athlete.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think I figured it out. So when you mentioned it, I was like, okay, well, maybe he just wants all the Jordan gear in a different color, right?
Right.
And that's cool. And then I started thinking of what Brady Manek would look like in a Carolina blue jersey. And I think I've discovered why he's doing it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That is Larry Bird in a powder blue Indiana State jersey. Is he just he just wants to cosplay as Larry Bird? Is that what is happening
He's
here, Ted?
It's something that I felt like he really latched onto. So maybe so. Maybe he just hasn't gotten that letter back from Indiana State yet. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's where we're headed for.
All
That
he
is
needs
going to
to do,
be
if he could throw some volume into his hair, it lays pretty flat. One of those rotating brushes that the kind of motorized brush, that's what he needs with the hair dryer. Throw
some
some volume in that hair,
curlers.
and he's there. Yeah.
I wish
I thought
Brady
that was
Manek the
big though
best.
for him, man.
That's yeah, hell yeah. When you were like, he wants to go somewhere, little low profile, little less pressure. I was like, in my head, I was like, North Carolina is not the place. My
No,
God.
no, 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 no.
Some high expectations there in Chapel Hill. Okay, who do you have as your loser of the week?
Okay, this is going to seem weird, but 247 Sports came out with their list of who they think the top 25 quarterbacks in college football are going to be next year. And their number one quarterback was Spencer Rattler. And the reason I say he's the loser there is when you're at the number one spot, I feel like it's easier to be knocked down. If you're number two, you're number three. I think it's easier to maybe have a mistake or two and not be kind of chopped off that pedestal. That's like rarely, it seems like, does the Heisman favorite going into a season end up winning the Heisman. I think Baker probably was, but it's something that is because he was a finalist the year before. It seems rare. So I always think it's better to come from the pack a little bit, so that's why I said that he was the loser.
You cannot be
Chip on the
scared.
shoulder.
You cannot be scared of high expectations. You just
Embrace
can't.
it.
You can't. I mean, you got to embrace it. I think the complete opposite of you. Yes, predict him to win the Heisman. Let's go. Let's stop playing around.
So don't worry
Boost
about it.
my
What
man's ego. Give him
you're
all the
telling me,
confidence in the world.
harnessing the good energy, block out the bad.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Good.
That guy is. But
Psycho.
no, I know what you mean, and it is it is one of those things where you probably want him to have a chip on his shoulder, like see the list, quote tweet it out and be like, "Oh, I'm only number 4." Okay. Like, but I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, last year, there's no way that Trevor Lawrence doesn't win the Heisman. Are you kidding me? I don't even know why we have to wait till the end of the season to have the ceremony. Doesn't win it. Goes to a wide receiver. So I don't know. I don't disagree with the ranking necessarily, but I just think that it'd be good for him to come from the back. But maybe he's a front runner, baby, and likes that pressure. I like it.
Embrace the inner front runner. All right. But front runner's kind of, it's got negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
Like he's a front runner, like he's the front runner, but not a front runner. Right?
I don't know. What you may be right. What would I call a guy who whenever he's the leader, whenever he's out in front, has a ton of confidence behind him, is whenever he's at his best? Should I just call him he's a Steve Prefontaine?
He's a gamer.
A gamer.
The person you're describing, those are the guys that I call dudes. He's a dude, man.
All right. He is a dude. Like it.
He needs to be a dude this year. Gosh, I really hope they're as good as we think they're going to be. It's only April, and we all
look like
here like
idiots next year.
We could look like absolute morons. I hope we don't.
Well, hey, I'll tell you though, I think they're going to be great. I think they have as good a chance to win a national championship as they've had in a while, and I don't feel very good about them beating Iowa State 2 times. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good Iowa State's going to be.
Neither does what do you see? I don't buy into the FPI, ESPN's FPI, like those rankings, but they had OU at 2 and Iowa State at 4. They had 7 Big 12 teams in the top 25 of the FPI. 7.
I saw that. I think Iowa State is. I don't think the year after next, I don't think they're going to be any good. But next year, with the amount of guys that they have on that team that have played such good football for them for so long, I think they're going to be just fantastic. If their offensive line can step up their game a little bit, they're going to be really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. There was a lot happening this week. I had to whittle down the winners and losers. Lots of honorable mentions for me, Ted. But for my winner of the week, thought about going with Lu Dort. Dropped a 42 piece, gave it to the Jazz. Offensive clinic, guarded Donovan Mitchell essentially the entire game. But then I saw that Jadeveon Clowney signed with the Browns, and I was like, damn, maybe Myles Garrett is my winner of the week, because now I'm not sure Clowney is the same player he was a couple years ago, but with them having Clowney, that could at some times draw some attention away from Myles Garrett, maybe get some more one-on-ones, and maybe his life gets a little easier. But
by the way, I love that Clowney is basically a 1-year mercenary and signing those big deals that are almost fully guaranteed to play 1 season. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, what was it? 1 year for $13 million last year, and I think this is one year for 10.
Yep,
must be nice.
Love it.
I also thought about going with Boston College because they signed a 10-year agreement with New Balance. And listen, I know what a lot of you are thinking. New Balance is a Boston company, though, so little local flavor for them. And we all can admit, New Balance's stuff is comfortable as hell. It is comfortable. and they've actually kind of a New Balance renaissance. So, you know what? Y'all leave New Balance alone. But my winner of the week is DeVincent Spriggs.
Huh.
Who is DeVincent Spriggs? You may wonder. Well, he's the guy that Aaron Donald and his buddies allegedly beat the shit out of last weekend in Pittsburgh. Spriggs' version of the story is that he accidentally bumped into Aaron Donald in the late night club, and Donald and his boys quickly after jumped him, resulting in a broken orbital bone, a broken nose, and possibly a broken arm. I was confused. They were like, it may be sprained or broken. Like, how do we not know? But okay, whatever. But that sucks. Getting beat up, not fun. But he's my winner of the week because Teddy, he is about to be rich. He is going to be so rich from this. I'm sure. And what, once again, innocent until proven guilty for our man, Aaron Donald. But I'm sure that this will be a situation where it gets settled out of court. And I don't think Aaron Donald is going to want to drag this out if he is guilty of assaulting this man. Donald's rookie deal, I believe, was north of 10 million. He is currently in the middle of a 6-year, $135 million deal. He is very rich. He will be less rich after this gets settled. And congratulations, DeVincent Spriggs. You may have gotten your ass beat, but it's going to be worth a lot of money.
If I was Aaron Donald, I'd do everything I could to get this case because there's no way he can get a fair trial in Pittsburgh. I'd have the case moved to Cleveland County, Oklahoma, where it will be ruled by the district attorney that it looked like DeVincent Spriggs entered into mutual combat. Just like our guy did there at Logie's, right? Mutual combat.
Mutual combat.
Which, here's the thing. I'm sure Spriggs' version of events isn't totally true. I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I heartily believe he accidentally bumped into Aaron Donald and that's what happened. Okay. There's got to be more to the story than that. Not saying that justifies it. Aaron Donald's still going to get hammered on this deal for assaulting the guy and it's going to cost him big bucks. But let's be honest. Something else happened other than, oh, whoops, it's crowded in here. I accidentally bumped into you. Scram! No, I don't think so.
Death to
I'm
your
not buying
face.
that.
Yes. So Aaron Donald is not the biggest guy in the world when you see him just in person. Like it's not like he's a towering like 6'5" guy or anything. Now, depending on how tight the shirt is that he's wearing, like he obviously is a guy that
after hours club in Pittsburgh, I'm sure he was slipping into that. Well, for him, it was probably a 2X, but I'm sure it was pretty tight that night.
Yeah. We'll assume that you could see the muscularity, is that a word? Musculature of one Aaron Donald. But I feel like for some reason, I feel like Aaron Donald and his boys just went right up to my man Spriggs' table, took his bottle, started drinking out of it, and was like, deal with it. Like, that's right. What I'd like to imagine. But Teddy, you and I have both seen this, and it's a weird thing. Some guys just want to fight football players.
Yep.
It happens in college. It happens in the NFL. Some guys get real testosterone driven when they're around NFL guys. It's weird. Like some guys just freak out and they're like, hey, you want to fight? And you're like, no, what?
Well, here's one of the things that, a lot of time, I'm sure Aaron Donald and his group of guys that he was with were getting a lot of attention in the club. Okay. A lot of female attention there. And everyone notices and wants to challenge that a little bit. So I would say for me, he's got to be in the top 1 or 2, but where does Aaron Donald rank on people that you would least likely to get punched in the face by?
That is not he is definitely high on the list. Like, just because I'm familiar with how elite his hand usage is. And we all saw the fake knife video, right?
Hmm.
I don't want those problems, man. He's up there. He's definitely up there. Like,
That dude,
I
Mr.
will take,
Spriggs.
I'll take my chances with every single guy in the NBA, except for which is the guy that has like the MMA background. Is it James Johnson? I don't remember his name, but I wouldn't want to mess with that guy. Like, he's actually fought MMA fights. But yeah, Aaron Donald, he's up there on the list.
Well, I saw the picture of the guy, and I saw like broken orbital bone and nose and all of that jaw, all that stuff. I was like, huh, wow, you got off lucky. He must have just hit you with a glancing blow. You're alive. Be happy about that.
Be happy that you're alive, DeVincent.
And a millionaire.
And congratulations on that big bag of cash you're going to get, bud. Okay, my loser of the week. Now, thought about going with Steph Curry because he had 53 points the other night. He passed Wilt Chamberlain and became the Warriors' all-time leading scorer. And no one really talked about it because, unfortunately, in that game, Jamal Murray tore his ACL with like 50 seconds left to go in the game. And it sucked. It's a huge bummer and takes the Nuggets off the list of realistic contenders. But also thought about going with Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite athletes because he said he didn't know who A-Rod is. He was like, who's that? Even though A-Rod is part of the group that just bought the team he plays for. That was unbelievable, and it was so funny. And I'm starting to really love Anthony Edwards. I'm just telling you right now.
Hey, I
But
love that. I love that. I know A Rod is it's that's got to hammer A Rod's ego a little bit. Number one, is great of a baseball player that he was. He feels like everyone should know him, and then it also ages you quite a bit, doesn't it? It's like this kid is, he's young. What is he? 20, 21 years old or something
I
like
think it's like
that.
19 or 20.
19,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, gosh, dang, man, I'm losing my grip on these kids. I'm losing my clout pretty quickly.
But the best part about it was there was this clip going around of Anthony Edwards doing an interview with a woman, and she's like, "What else could you have done like professionally?" He's like, "Oh, I could have gone to the MLB. I could have gone." He's like, He was like, "I was a pitcher. I played shortstop. I played center field. Like I did everything." He's like, "I could have gone to the league." And he doesn't know who A-Rod is. Like what? What? I find that very hard to believe. But my loser of the week got some local flavor, and my loser of the week is possibly the Oklahoma economy because Jenny Carlson had article, an article in the Oklahoman that caught a lot of people's attention here in the state. And basically what it said was that the NCAA Board of Governors put out a statement that said essentially the NCAA won't hold their events in states where transgender participation in sports is limited. Not a lot of transgender talk on the podcast normally, Ted, but this seems awfully important for the state of Oklahoma because I was not, and I'm not afraid to admit, I was not aware that this legislation was getting pushed forward in Oklahoma. I had no idea. But when I read the article, the Oklahoma House has advanced something called the Save Women's Sports Act, which would limit transgender participation in sports here in the state of Oklahoma. So, as you connect the dots, if this thing ends up becoming a law here, that means the state could lose out on a whole lot of revenue from NCAA events that we host here in Oklahoma. So the state is supposed to host the men's gymnastics championship and men's and women's cross country championships next year. Those would be in jeopardy. the state is supposed to host all kinds of things in the near future, regionals in golf, first and second round NCAA tournament games, the tennis championships. And then Jenny Carlson points out that this would put the Women's College World Series in jeopardy. And people started freaking out because that is a huge revenue producer for the city of Oklahoma City. Ted, I'm not an economist or anything. Like, numbers aren't my strength at this point in time. I haven't done math in a really long time. But if this ends up happening and those things go away, that does not seem like it would be good for the state of Oklahoma.
No, it'd be bad. I don't think the Women's College World Series is as big, and maybe it is. I don't know, but the Major League Baseball All-Star Game being moved from Atlanta was estimated to have cost that community $100 million in economic activity and revenue coming into the area. So these events are huge. Now, can I just say that I think everyone involved in this thing from all angles are the losers of the week. I think the NCAA going over the top of states and threatening them based on how people in that state vote and want their community managed. I think that is total crap and something that the NCAA doesn't need to get involved in. I hate that they do that. I also think that it's crap. I think this legislation is a total farce and waste of time. What are we're talking like
how many people does it affect is my question, right? Like,
zero. I mean, I know that there's a couple of cases where it happened in Connecticut in track and field, and it's just, we're talking about, but that's the other thing about the NCAA. Like, how is this really that massive of an issue for the NCAA that you would pull an event from a state that's, that has this legislation in? I mean, how many NCAA athletes is it affecting right now? We've got to be talking about a handful at most. So I think that it's a way too big of a focus on something that I quite frankly don't think is all that big of a deal one way or the other. We're talking about such a small percentage of anything that's happening here. I don't think it's worthy of legislation, wasting time on legislation. And I don't think it's worthy of the NCAA threatening states about how they vote in their representation and how they want their community run on whether or not they're going to bring events there. I think that's total crap, and it shouldn't be done. It should not be done by the NCAA. And the other thing is, I don't want the NCAA lecturing anyone about what legislation they put in. It's proven that they're total hypocrites. All you have to do is look at the crap that just went down in the NCAA tournament, where they provide the men with the big, beautiful weight room for everyone to work out in, and they give the women a set of dumbbells. Okay? They're total hypocrites. That's why I don't listen to anything they say.
Right. But it's going to be really interesting to see how this progresses across the country, because you're seeing legislation like this pop up across the country, right?
Yeah.
Things that are popping up about the transgender issue. I don't.
What is it, like 30 states or something right now?
Yeah, it's
right?
crazy. And it just feels like a bunch of like political grandstanding. Like, I don't understand.
Totally
like, how
agree.
many people does it really affect? That's my thing. It's like, we don't even really have to get into like the human decency piece of this, where that's kind of a road that a lot of people want to go down. But I just want to know, like, how in the state of Oklahoma, right? How many kids that are going to public high schools is this affecting? Like, how many transgender girls or women are participating in athletics in the state of Oklahoma? I don't know the answer. Like, I would love to know the answer. I would love to be informed about it. It just seems like something, like you said, Ted, like that the leadership here in the state should be worrying about other stuff. They should be worrying about fixing the school system and the infrastructure. Like there's a lot of other things you can worry about in Oklahoma as opposed to this. And especially if it's going to cost the state a shit ton of money. Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. I just don't understand.
I agree. You know where I fall on pretty much everything, and I think it's a stupid waste of time.
That's how I feel about a lot of politics. Like a lot of stuff that people get really worked up. I'm just over here like, seems like a waste of time.
It's a slippery slope. Well, I agree a lot of times that some things tend to be a slippery slope. I don't think this is going to be one of those.
Right. Just knew we had to talk about it because I read that article and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So hopefully that
which I'll tell you, I'd be pissed. I love the women's World Series.
Love it. And the contract's awesome. Through 2035, so they've got the contract in place. So I don't know what the legalese is in that bad boy, but people would absolutely lose their shit if the NCAA pulled the Women's College World Series out of Oklahoma City. I
would just say, like,
lose it.
I'd be like, no, we're still having it. Thanks, NCAA. Appreciate it. We're still having it. Everyone just continue to come. ESPN will still televise it. Doesn't matter to them. We'll move on without you, NCAA. Thanks.
Appreciate you. All right. See you later.